Hi and welcome to Rotating Earth CSS tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a web page and that there is an earth in the middle of it and the earth is rotating so you can see different continents while it is rotating. So the way to do this, it's actually very simple. What we are doing is we are first making a border so we can see through this border, which is a circle, and it is the form of our earth. And then we're going to download a picture which looks like a map, So for example, if this is our map, we will cover the whole circle with this, all of our border, so when it is passing by, no part of it is going to be empty. And then we're going to push this picture back and forth, and while this picture is going, the map is going back and forth, it looks like, since we can't see any outside of it, we can just see the part that is inside of our circle. It seems that it is rotating. And so what we need to do is to have a picture of a map, which is a rectangle and map of the earth, and we can just make it go back and forth in front of our circle border. So now let's see how we can do it in Sublime Text. I made a HTML file and named it Rotating Earth. And something else that I recently learned is that you can just write HTML and then you can press Ctrl and a space and it will write down everything for you. So the first line is very important. Doctype Html is very important because if you don't put that line on top there, your browser may not recognize that this is a standard HTML code, and it might crash or it might not work properly. So it's always a good idea to put this line above there. Even without this line it might work, but just to be safe it's better to don't this line of code. And then the next thing we want to have is HTML open and close. So we're saying that we are writing an HTML code. And then there are two parts to our code. One is heading and another part is body. So all of our CSS, a short part of our JavaScript or anything like that will go inside of the head, and the HTML file and the structure of our web page is going inside of the body, and everything that we want to write in our web page is going inside of the body. There is another way to do it. You can actually make a separate sheet and just use it as a CSS sheet, and you can use a separate sheet and you can use it only as JavaScript sheet. But for this tutorial I'm going to use HTML format, and I'm just going to put my style inside of the head. So for the title, I'm going to just write Rotating Earth and then save it. And if I run this program again, if you notice the tab, it says rotatingearth.html. Now if I refresh this page, the title is going to be Rotating Earth. And what happened is this title has become our tab title because it's inside of the head. And then I'm going to start writing the code for my Rotating Earth. First, we want to open a tag called style. So we're going to write our style here, and we want to close our style, so not forget it, because you always have to close your tags. Some of the tags just have opening, but if they have opening and closing, it's better to not to forget it. And if you put it at the beginning, you will know that you already put it there. So we're going to start with making a class. So if you're making a class, and the way to make a class inside of the style is to put a dot and then write the name of your class right after it. Here, because I'm doing rotating earth, I'm just gonna put earth as the name of my class, and then you open and close a curly bracket, and all of the information that you want about your rotating earth, you can just simply put it inside of your class. But even if you include all of the information in your class, it is just a class. It's not going to display it on the screen. What we want to do, we want to open a div outside of our class and close the div. And we want to say that we want our class to be displayed. So you say class equal to earth. Next step is, first of all, choose a picture. As I said in the paint, you want to choose a picture that is rectangle, and it is a picture of the earth, because we just want to push it back and forth inside of our border, so we will see only a part of it each time, and it feels like our earth is rotating. So you need to find a map that is rectangle, and the circle doesn't work here. The picture that I choose for this specific purpose called earth-map. And this is the picture that I choose. Now I'm going to just choose it as my background image here. So for that, you will write background, and you can use this background image, and the URL of your background image is for the URL of your background image, you need to notice that my rotating earth file, HTML file, and my picture file are both in the same directory, are both in the same folder, so I don't need to specify the address of my image. But if earth-map was inside of another folder, for example in the image folder, I would need to write the address of it. So just for simplicity, I put both of them, the image and the HTML file, inside of the same directory, inside of the same folder. So I can just here in the URL write the name, which is earthmap.jpg. Save it, and we're going to run this program, and we see that nothing appears on the screen because we didn't specify the width and the height of our picture. I'm going to specify that the width is going to be for example 500 pixels, and the height is going to be again 500 pixel, because I want it to be in a square and eventually a circle. Save. When I run it, the picture is going to be on the screen. And as you can see, since this is a background picture, we didn't actually resize the picture. We just said we want this much of it, 500 pixel of it by 500 pixel of it, to show on the screen. So another thing that you notice, it is on the left top corner. But what we want to do, what is going to be more beautiful, is that our earth would be in the center of the page. So we want to take this picture and place it in the center of the page. Another thing that you want to notice is that there is a small margin right before the top and right before the left. If you want to do it auto and bring it in the center of the picture, in the center of the screen, we need to first get rid of this small margin that we had on the top and on the left side of our image. So what we are going to do, you're going to say top is 0, and then left is 0 as well. Save it, and when we run it again, I put top and left to 0, but I saw that my image didn't move at all. We still have those margins. The reason is I didn't specify how I want the position to be changed. So we have two type of position. We can change the position in two ways. One of them is absolute and another one is relative. The difference between absolute and relative is if you put relative here, it will just offset your image. For example, if you put your top to 5 based on the position that your image is, it will take it 5 pixels back and forth, or up and down, or anything that you asked it for. But when you're referring to position as an absolute, it will move it absolutely. It doesn't relate it to another, it doesn't relate it to the specific place that it is right now, and it doesn't change it based on that. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to run this again, and as you can see, we don't have the margin anymore. It is absolutely went to the position 0 from top and went to the position 0 from the bottom, from the left. So now another thing that we want to do is we want to take the very top left corner of our screen, and we want to change our margin based on that. So since we want to just get that top very left corner, we want to put all of our the bottom and the right corner to 0 as well, because we want it to move from that position. So I'm going to say right is 0 as well, and then bottom is 0 too. So right now if I run it again, nothing's going to change, because we just said we just take very top left corner of the screen as our 0 point, as our absolute 0. So what we are going to do right now is we want to margin, and we want to bring this in the middle of the page. So for that margin to keep the same amount of margin from each side of the screen, which is 50% from this side, 50% from top, and 50% from bottom and left and right, we can just say margin and then right auto. This will put the same amount of margin from each side of it, so as the result your picture is going to come in the middle of the screen. So now our picture is in the middle of the screen, and again, this is not our full picture. Our full picture is a complete Earth map. We're just seeing North America right now in this picture. The reason for that is I'm using this picture as a background picture. That's why when I specified I want 500 pixel from this side, 500 pixel from that side, the whole picture didn't shrink to 500 pixel by 500 pixel, but just 500 pixel from each side is appearing on the screen, and that's what we want. So right now what we did, we put our background image on the screen, and we specify the width and height of our picture, how much we wanted to show on the screen, and we set that position to absolute, and from absolute we took the 0 point, which is a very top left corner of the screen, and from there we say we want the margin to be auto, which will set the image in the middle of the screen. So till now we choose our screen and we choose our image and we put our image in the middle of the screen. The next step we want to do is we don't want it to be a rectangle, we don't want it to be square, we want our picture to be a circle. We want to have a circle border to see the we want to have a circle border to see our image from. So what I can do here is I'm going to write border radius, and if I put when you increase the radius, the angles of it is going to be more curly and it's going to have a radius instead of being an angle. So I'm going to show it to you here. For example, if I put 2 here, 2%, and then save it, and if I run this again, you will see there is a very small radius at the end. It's not angled anymore. If I make this, for example, 10% and save it, you will see that there is more radius, and you can go up and up till you get to 50%, and when you set it at 50%, it's going to be a complete circle. And this is how we want it to look like. It's actually looking like Earth right now. Looks like planet Earth right now. So another thing that I want to do is I want my background image to move back and forth. So the way to do that is I can just write animation, because this is an animation move, and then I will specify a name for it. For example, I'm going to give the name cool. And next thing, you can actually specify, for example, animation name, and then animation duration, animation, I don't know, and the type of movement that you want, and you can specify each one of them on the separate line. But another way and easier way to do is just to put all of those on the same line, which I'm going to do right now. So the first thing that I choose was cool, and it was the name of my animation. The second thing I want to choose is the duration, and how long do I want it to take for this square to go back and forth, and for this rectangle to go back and forth. So I'm going to choose 10 seconds. And the next thing that I want to choose here is the type of movement I want my picture to make. So the type of movement is going to be a linear movement, and I want it to move like that forever. I don't want it to stop, so I'm just gonna say infinite or infinite. Okay, so there are two things you want to consider very carefully. It's true that we say 10 seconds, but then we say we want it to move infinite. So the difference is this 10 seconds means the rectangle going back and forth, and this infinite shows how many times you want this rectangle to go back and forth. So this is the difference between these two. And then we're going to save it. If we run it, it's not going to move. The reason is we need to specify a keyframe here. Outside of our class, after our class is closed inside of our style, we want to specify keyframes, and you want to say the name of your animation, which is cool, and then you open and close a curly bracket. something you want to consider is that you can choose, instead of putting linear and things like that here, you can specify it in your keyframes. For example, you can say I want it 50% to go linear. I want I don't know, 10% to go rotating, or anything else that you want to specify. But here, for this purpose, for the purpose of the rotating Earth, I wanted 200% of the time to go back and forth in a linear motion. And then you open another curly bracket. Inside of your curly bracket, you will specify what you want to move. The things that we want to move is not our circle. We don't want our radius to move. We want our background image to move. So you will specify it inside of your curly brackets. So again, what you want to move, you want your background image move in linear. So right now we're choosing name cool, which is this animation, and we're going to say we want our background position to change in linear motion for 100% of the time. And we're going to save this, and we're going to run this again. And now, as you can see, it is moving, and it's actually moving very fast. So I'm going to slow it down by changing this one to, for example, 40 seconds. It's going to slow it down because it will take 40 seconds for it to make a complete round. I'm going to run it again. Now it is running slower. But there is something else that we want to fix here. First of all, our full Earth is not here. For example, right now, the Africa is appear on the screen, and we will see that the south of Africa is getting out of our South Pole, which is not correct. That means our picture, our map, is too big for our radius. So what we want to do, we can fix this by specifying that we want to change our background size, and we want to change it to cover. When you're choosing cover, that means if the picture is too small, stretch it. If it is too big, shrink it, and make sure that it fit the screen. So right now, if I run it again, now the picture is completely fitted to the to my radius. So right now, as you can see, my background image is just going back and forth, or it's just going forth. But the way that we are receiving it, the way that we are seeing it, is that the Earth is rotating. Another thing is we can make it a little bit more 3D, because right now it just look like a circle that we're looking through the circle. But if we add a little bit of more shadows on the top and bottom here, it might be more believable, and it might be a little bit more 3D like, more animation like. The way to do that is you want to do shadow, box shadow, and then inside of your box shadow, you first specify your X and Y, how many of your X pixel you want it to be shadowed, how many of your Y pixel you want it to be shadowed. I'm going to choose, for example, 40 pixel for my X, and then a space, and choose another 40 pixel for my Y. I'm going to close it, save it, and if I run this again, you can see the shadow here. But our shadow doesn't really look like a shadow because it is just a straight line. It is very defined. The end of it is very defined. But if it was a little bit more blurred, it would look like shadow more. So what I can do is I can specify another pixel here, and I'm going to specify, for example, 20 pixels, and then close this again. So what this 20 does, it will take 20 pixel and blur that 20 pixel. So now if I run it again, you will see that our pixels are blurred here. Another thing is the light that is lighting on our earth, it makes the shadow in the background. But the shadow is not supposed to be in the background because this part which is top which is our top left corner, if there is a light from there, the other side have to be shadow on the earth, and that area should be night, the other area should be morning. But right now our shadow is outside of our earth, so we want to change that back inside of our earth. The way to do that is to write inset, save it. If I run this again, you will see that our shadow is right now on the top and on the plus side of our earth because it is inset right now. We don't want it to be there, so what we can do, we can put a negative sign before our 40 pixel, another negative sign before our 40 pixel, so it's going to be x negative, y negative. Then our shadow is going to be in the bottom instead of being in the top. Now it looks way better. Another thing that we can do, I actually want to make this a little bit more, so I'm going to make it 30 pixel and then save it. Maybe I have to make these a little bit more, like 50 pixels. Then if I save it and run it again, yeah, that looks better. So this is our earth completed. Another thing that we can add to this page and make it look more beautiful is we can add a picture of the galaxy behind our earth. So the way to do that is very straightforward, and it is in my other tutorial as well. You can just go to earth and you can just go to the body and you can choose a background image. Here you can either choose a background image or you can just choose a BG color for this. I think a BG color will look better because I don't want it to be very busy and lots of stars and like that. But you can actually add background picture here as well instead of BG color. But right now I just want to do BG color, and I want it to be black, which is going to be 000. Save it, and then if I run it again, the background image, the background's going to be black. So yes, this is how my rotating page look like right now. Another thing that I want to add to it, maybe I'm going to just add a header on top there. So I'm going to use H1 and I'm going to say this is my web page. Welcome to my website, then close H1, save it. If I run it here, I cannot see. It is up there, but I cannot see it. The reason that I cannot see it is that the color of this is black. So in black, I won't be able to see it. So what I can do, I can just change the color inside of my style. I can just change the color inside of my style to be white. So the way to style my font is to write H1 here, so that means whatever H1 that is inside of the body, take them and give them this property or these attributes. So the first thing is color, and then I want to set that to white. Save it. If I run it again, we'll see that the welcome to my website is on this corner of the screen, and I want this title to be in the middle of the screen. I don't want it to be on the side. So another thing that I can do here is I can write text dash align, and I can write center semicolon and save. Now if I run it again, it's going to come in the center of the screen. So it says welcome to my website, and this is my rotating earth, and my background is black, and I think it looks beautiful. If you want, you can change the background instead of color, you can just change it to picture, and you can do galaxy picture or anything that you want, and you can change it inside of your body tag, the start of your body tag here. So this is it. I'm just going to save it to make sure I have it, and thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you in next video. Bye.